grandfather clock in the lawyer's office struck 3 as Mr. Patterson shuffled through my grandfather's will. My brother Michael sat across from me in his perfectly tailored suit, already wearing the smug expression of someone who knew he'd won. Next to him, my sister Catherine examined her manicure, barely containing her impatience. I'm Hannah Miller, the youngest of 3 siblings, and, according to my family, the least successful. While Michael ran his investment firm and Catherine managed her luxury real estate business, I had chosen to study environmental science and sustainable agriculture, choices that had made me the family disappointment. Now then, Mr. Patterson adjusted his reading glasses to the matter of distributing Harold Miller's estate. I caught my reflection in the office window, simple blouse, practical pants, work boots still muddy from my morning at the research center. Next to my polished siblings, I looked exactly like what they thought I was, the family failure. To my grandson Michael Miller, Mr. Patterson read, I leave my investment portfolio, valued at approximately $4 million. Michael's smile widened. No surprise there. He'd been managing those investments for years, carefully positioning himself as the responsible grandchild. To my granddaughter, Catherine Miller, I leave my properties in the city, including the apartment building on 5th Avenue and the commercial space in Brooklyn. Catherine finally looked up from her nails, nodding in satisfaction. The properties were worth at least $6 million. And to my granddaughter, Hannah Miller, Mr. Patterson paused, glancing at me over his glasses. I leave the family farm in Millbrook, including all land, structures, and equipment thereon. The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds before Michael burst out laughing. The farm, he wheezed, wiping tears from his eyes. That worthless piece of dirt. Oh, this is perfect. Catherine joined in with her theatrical giggle. Well, it makes sense. Hannah's always been interested in playing in the mud. Now she can do it full time. I sat there, my face burning, but my voice steady. Are there any conditions attached to the inheritance? Mr. Patterson nodded, relieved to have a serious question. Only that the property cannot be sold for at least 1 year after taking possession. Michael's laughter redoubled. 1 year? You'll be broke by then. That place hasn't turned a profit in decades. The property taxes alone will bankrupt you. Enjoy your worthless farm. Catherine stood up, already reaching for her designer handbag. Maybe you can grow organic kale or whatever it is you studied in college. I remained seated as they strutted out, still laughing. Mr. Patterson waited until their voices faded before speaking again. There's one more thing, Miss Miller. Your grandfather left this for you. He handed me an envelope, my name written in Grandpa's shaky handwriting. He was very specific that you should receive it only after the others had left. I opened the letter carefully, recognizing the paper from Grandpa's old desk. Dearest Hannah, by now you know about the farm. Your brother and sister will think I'm punishing you, but they never understood what that land really means. They see dirt and crops and outdated buildings. But you've always seen the potential in things others dismiss. Remember the stories I used to tell you about the old barn, about why it was built where it was, and what lies beneath? It's time for you to find out if those stories were true. The key in this envelope opens the locked cabinet in my study. Inside, you'll find everything you need to understand. Trust yourself, little one. You're the only one who can unlock what that farm really holds. All my love, Grandpa. A small brass key fell from the envelope into my palm. I looked up at Mr. Patterson, who was watching me with curious eyes. Did you know about this? He shook his head. Your grandfather was a private man, especially in his later years. But he always spoke highly of you, said you had a gift for seeing value where others couldn't. That evening, I drove out to the farm alone. The spring sunset painted the old buildings in shades of gold, making the weathered wood glow. I'd always loved this place, spent countless summers here helping Grandpa with the horses and listening to his stories. The study was exactly as he left it. Books everywhere, maps spread across the desk, his old leather chair still holding the impression of his favorite reading position. The locked cabinet stood in the corner, untouched since his passing 3 months ago. The key fit perfectly. Inside, I found a stack of notebooks, geological surveys, and maps. Decades of research and observations. But it was the small leather-bound journal on top that caught my attention. The first entry, dated 1962, made my heart stop. Today, I confirmed what I've suspected for years. The geological formations under the North Barn aren't natural. The core samples show clear signs of mineral deposits, but that's not all. The radiation reading suggests something far more valuable. I can't risk anyone finding out until I'm certain, but if I'm right, this farm sits on top of one of the largest rare earth element deposits in North America. I sank into Grandpa's chair, my hands shaking as I turned the pages. For decades, he had secretly studied the land, gathering evidence of what lay beneath the surface. The barn had been built specifically to hide his test sites, its location chosen not for farming convenience, but to mark the center of something extraordinary. The final entry was dated just 2 weeks before his death. Hannah will find this. She's the only one who ever really listened, who understood that this land holds more than just crops. Michael and Catherine want quick profits and easy money. They'll never have the patience to discover what's beneath their feet. But Hannah, she has my curiosity, my determination. She'll know what to do with this knowledge. I stayed up all night, reading through the journals and studying the maps. By sunrise, I knew 2 things with absolute certainty. My grandfather had been right about the mineral deposits, and I was holding information worth millions, possibly billions, of dollars. My phone buzzed. A text from Michael. Hope you're enjoying the dirt farm. Let me know when you're ready to sell it cheap. I might know some developers who take it off your hands. I smiled, looking out over the misty fields toward the old barn. No thanks, I typed back. I think I'll hang on to it for a while. If only he knew what was really hidden beneath that worthless dirt. The first thing I did was call Dr. Sarah Chen, my former professor and mentor in environmental science. If anyone could help me confirm Grandpa's discovery without drawing attention, it would be her. Rare earth elements? She said, examining the geological surveys spread across the barn's work table. Your grandfather was tracking these patterns for decades. The man was brilliant. I nodded, pointing to the most recent readings. He used old equipment, but the signatures are clear. I think there's a massive deposit under this entire northern section. Sarah walked the perimeter of the barn, her instruments beeping steadily. Hannah, if these readings are accurate, this isn't just a deposit. This could be one of the largest rare earth element finds in the country. Do you understand what that means? I did. Rare earth elements were crucial for everything from smartphones to electric vehicles to military technology. China controlled most of the world's supply, making any significant domestic source invaluable. We need to confirm this properly, Sarah said, already making calls. I know some people who can help, discreetly. Over the next few weeks, a small team of trusted geologists conducted comprehensive surveys of the property. They worked at night, using advanced equipment that would have seemed like science fiction to Grandpa, but their findings confirmed what he had suspected all along. The deposit extends at least 300 acres, Dr. Chin explained, showing me the 3D imaging. Preliminary estimates suggest over 100,000 metric tons of extractable rare earth elements. At current market prices, that's billions. I finished quietly. Not millions, billions. She nodded. And given the growing demand for these elements, the value will only increase. But Hannah, you need to be careful. Once this gets out. She didn't need to finish. I knew what would happen. My phone was already buzzing with increasingly frequent messages from my siblings. Word had gotten around that there was unusual activity at the farm. "Hey sis," Catherine's text dripped with fake sweetness. "Just checking in. How's the farming going? You know, if you need help with property taxes or anything." Michael was more direct. "Heard you've had some scientists out there. What's going on? As your financially responsible brother, I should be involved in any decisions about the property." I ignored them both, focusing instead on the next crucial step. I needed capital to develop the discovery, but I had to move carefully. If word got out too soon, every mining company in the country would be trying to take control. That's when I got lucky. Through Sarah's connections, I met James Wong, a venture capitalist who specialized in mineral resources. More importantly, he understood the need for discretion. "The potential here is unprecedented," he said, walking the property with me. "But extraction needs to be done sustainably, carefully. Many of these deposits have been ruined by hasty development." I liked him immediately. He asked about environmental impact before profit margins, and he actually listened to my ideas about sustainable mining practices. "I can provide initial funding," he offered, "enough to secure the necessary permits and begin preliminary development. In return, my firm gets a minority stake, but you maintain controlling interest." It was a fair offer, better than fair, but before I could accept, my siblings forced my hand. I came home one evening to find Michael's expensive car in the driveway. He and Catherine were waiting on the porch, trying to look concerned, but barely concealing their greed. "Hannah, we need to talk," Michael began, using his responsible big brother voice. "We're worried about you." "Really?" I leaned against the porch railing. "You haven't been worried about me for the past 10 years. Catherine stepped forward, all designer clothes and fake sympathy. "We know you've been meeting with investors. You can't handle something like that alone. You need our expertise." "Like you handled Grandpa's investments?" I asked sweetly. "The ones that underperformed the market by 40% under your management, Michael." His face reddened. "That's not. How did you know about that?" I actually read his financial records, unlike you, just like I read everything else he left behind. "Look," Catherine cut in, "whatever you found out here, you need help developing it. We have connections, experience." "No," I said firmly. "What you have is regret. You mocked this farm, called it worthless. Now you suspect it might be valuable, and suddenly you want to be involved." Michael's fake concern vanished. "We're your family. We have a right to be part of this." "Family?" I laughed. "When was the last time either of you visited Grandpa? Do you even know what crops he grew here? What he was passionate about?" They exchanged guilty glances. "I'll make this simple," I continued. "This is my inheritance. Grandpa gave it to me because he knew I would understand its true value, not just its monetary worth. You want to know what I've found? Wait and read about it in the papers like everyone else. You'll regret this," Michael threatened. "We can make things very difficult for you." I stepped closer, meeting his eyes. "No, Michael, you can't, because unlike you, I actually learned from Grandpa. I learned how to protect what's valuable, how to plan for the long term. You want to cause trouble? Go ahead. But remember, I have all of Grandpa's records, including some very interesting notes about your investment practices. Catherine grabbed Michael's arm as he started to sputter. Come on, she muttered. This isn't over, Hannah. I watched them drag away, their expensive car kicking up dust on the dirt road. Then I called James Wong. I'll take your offer, I said. But I want to add something to the contract. A clause that specifically prevents any shares from being sold to members of my family. He chuckled. Already done. Your grandfather warned me about them years ago. I nearly dropped the phone. You knew my grandfather? Who do you think helped him confirm his initial findings? Harold and I were old friends. He made me promise to look out for you when the time came. Tears filled my eyes as I looked out over the farm, my farm. Even now, Grandpa was still protecting me, still guiding my path. The next few weeks were a blur of activity. Environmental impact studies, permit applications, mineral rights registrations. Through it all, I could feel my siblings watching, plotting. But I had something they didn't: patience, just like Grandpa. Then came the day I had been both anticipating and dreading. The official announcement of the discovery was about to go public, and with it, the true value of my worthless farm would be revealed to the world. I sat in Grandpa's study, reading the press release one final time. Tomorrow, everyone would know that the Miller farm sat on top of one of the largest rare earth element deposits ever discovered in North America. Tomorrow, my siblings would learn exactly what they had mopped and lost. But tonight, in the quiet of the evening, I reread Grandpa's journal one more time. Remember, Hannah, true value isn't just in what you find, it's in how you use it. Make me proud. I would, Grandpa. I would. The morning the news broke, I woke up early to watch the sunrise from Grandpa's old porch swing. The farmhouse was quiet, but I knew the peace wouldn't last. Headlines were already flashing across financial news networks. Massive rare earth element deposit discovered in New York. Miller farm find could worry HAP global mineral market. Domestic rare earth elements. A $100 billion game CHANGR. My phone started ringing at exactly 7:01 a.m. Michael, of course. Is it true? He demanded, not bothering with a greeting. The farm, the minerals, all of it. Good morning to you too, Michael. I kept my voice calm. Yes, it's all true. Grandpa discovered it years ago. He just needed someone patient enough to understand its value. You have to let us in on this, he said quickly. The family needs to be involved. We have connections, experience. Like your experience in calling it a worthless dirt farm. I cut him off. Or Catherine's expertise in mocking my career choices. That kind of valuable experience. Before he could respond, another call beeped through. Catherine. Then another, our parents. Then the local news stations, investment firms, mining companies. Everyone wanted a piece of what they had all dismissed just months ago. I let most of them go to voicemail, but I did take one call from Mr. Patterson, Grandpa's lawyer. Your grandfather would be proud, he said warmly. He always said you were the only one who truly understood the value of patience. Around noon, a sleek black car pulled into the driveway. Michael and Catherine stepped out, both dressed for business, both wearing their most convincing smiles. Hannah, Catherine called out, walking toward the porch. We've been trying to reach you all morning. I stayed in my seat, noting how strange they looked here. Designer clothes against the backdrop of weathered barnwood and growing crops. Whatever you're here to propose, I said quietly, the answer is no. Michael stepped forward, straightening his tie. Just hear us out. We've already spoken to some investors. Major mining companies are interested. We could turn this into billions. I already have, I interrupted, pulling out the latest valuation report. The preliminary estimates were conservative. With sustainable extraction methods and proper development, the deposits are worth close to $100 billion. They both froze, their faces paling as the number sank in. But how? Catherine stammered. You can't have arranged all this alone. Actually, I did. Well, with help from the people Grandpa trusted, not the family who ignored him. I stood up, facing them directly. Did you know he spent his last years studying geology? That he took night classes to understand mineral analysis? Of course not, because neither of you visited him unless you needed something. That's not fair, Michael protested weakly. No. When was the last time you asked him about his life? His interests? His dreams for this land? I walked to the porch railing, gesturing at the farm around us. You saw dirt and crops and worthless space. He saw the future, and he made sure it went to someone who would see it too. Catherine's composure finally cracked. You can't just cut us out. We're family. Family? I turned back to them, my voice sharp. Let me show you something. I led them into Grandpa's study, where I'd laid out his journals and notes. Decades of research, observations, and plans, all meticulously documented. He knew about this deposit for years, I explained. But he also knew that if he announced it too soon, it would be exploited wrongly. The land would be stripped, the environment destroyed, all for quick profit. So he waited, and he watched. I opened one journal to a marked page. He watched how Michael managed his investments, always looking for fast returns, never thinking long-term. He saw how Catherine treated her real estate clients, squeezing every dollar without concern for community impact. Their faces reddened as I continued, and he watched me, studying environmental science, learning about sustainable development, understanding that true value isn't just about money. So this was his revenge. Michael's voice was bitter, punishing us by giving everything to you. No, I shook my head. This was his legacy. He gave the farm to the person who would develop it responsibly, who would use its resources to do more than just get rich. I handed them each a folder. Inside, you'll find the preliminary plans for the Miller Sustainable Development Project, a rare earth element extraction operation that will set new standards for environmental protection, a research center for developing green mining technologies, a foundation to fund scientific education. They flipped through the papers silently as I continued. This isn't just about mining minerals. It's about changing how we think about resource development. And yes, it will make billions, but those billions will do more than just make us rich. Catherine looked up, tears in her eyes. We really never knew him, did we? No, I said softly. You never tried. Michael was still staring at the plans. These are impressive. The technology, the environmental protections. This could revolutionize the entire industry. That's what Grandpa wanted. I nodded. He used to say that true wealth isn't what you take from the land, it's what you give back to it. They stayed quiet for a long moment, finally seeing the farm, and our grandfather, through new eyes. So what now? Catherine finally asked. Where do we fit in? I took a deep breath. That depends on you. I'm establishing a board of directors to oversee the foundation's charitable work. There are seats available, but they come with conditions. What conditions? Michael asked cautiously. You have to earn them. Spend a year working in environmental conservation. Learn about sustainable development. Prove that you understand what Grandpa was trying to build here. Then we can talk. To my surprise, they both nodded slowly. He really was brilliant, wasn't he? Catherine said quietly, looking around the study. We just couldn't see it. As they left that evening, the sunset painted the old barn in shades of gold, just like it had the day I first discovered Grandpa's secret. But now the barn wasn't hiding anything. Instead, it stood as a monument to patience, to vision, and to understanding that true value often lies beneath the surface. The next few years transformed more than just the farm. The Miller Sustainable Development Project became a model for responsible resource extraction worldwide. The research center attracted scientists from around the globe. The foundation funded scholarships for students studying environmental science and sustainable technology. Michael and Catherine did eventually earn their board seats, though the process changed them more than they expected. Working in conservation taught them what Grandpa had always known, that real wealth isn't just about money. As for me, I still live in the farmhouse, watching crops grow alongside our sustainable mining operation. Sometimes, in the quiet of evening, I sit in Grandpa's study and read his journals, finding new wisdom in his words. Remember, Hannah, he wrote in his final entry, the greatest inheritance I can leave you isn't the minerals under this farm. It's the understanding that true value lies in what you create, what you protect, and what you pass on to future generations. He was right, as always. The farm's secret wasn't just the